And we are live.
Good morning, everyone. It's me, the Guerrilla Economist, coming to you live on another edition of Rogue Money Mornings with me and CJ. And we are navigating the storms that are ahead and the small victories here and there that we are noticing. And you can check us out at roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money and Rogue Money on Facebook, DTube, Steam it, every single platform out there and every single podcasting app known to humanity. You can also follow us on the Apple News app. We are there as well. And so wherever you want us to be, and check out remaincalm.net. Remaincalm.net. This year we are running a special. If you got some tax issues, you got some IRS boogaroos bothering you and getting collection letters from them, contact remaincalm.net. Let them help you out this tax season. And also if you need to get your credit fixed and or funding, now's the time to do it. Contact them, remaincalm.net. Also, check out the Crypto School, thecryptoschool.io, thecryptoschool.io. Go ahead and check it out. Learn how to get into the best cryptos you can, but use the best wallets and how to use the best exchanges. There's also a lot more content that's being added as we go along, as the school and the faculty grow. So check it out, thecryptoschool.io. With that being said, Siege, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man, I tell you what, V, the anticipation. I could hardly sleep last night just waiting for this memo to come out. And it's interesting to see the different plays, the different narratives that are trying to come out, people trying to spin it. Obviously, V, this has the FBI, a lot of people nervous right now, V.
Yeah. Yeah, the memo is the big thing right now, man. And I'll tell you right now, the whole entire thing is really building pressure into a crescendo. And so I know right now the FBI are kind of freaking out, and I just want all of this to come out. And I think it's going to come out. It's going to come out unredacted, and that's what I want. I want it to come out unredacted. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so thank our fans for listening in. We got a little bit of a late start today, but we want to make sure we get all this information, so much intel coming out, V. But it was very interesting because we had and I want you to do your Kissinger voice because you do it so well, but Henry Kissinger comes out of nowhere to testify regarding North Korea.
Yeah.
What's that all about, V?
We will have a new world order. We will make sure there is a temptation, like I am tempted to eat chocolate. There is a temptation, a very strong possibility that we can have North Korean missile launch. Then we will have our new world order. I mean, Kissy is out there, right? And here's what, folks, you need to understand. Okay, there's a couple of things you guys need to follow. And I'm going to put a theory out there that's really, really out there. But, as most of you know, fact is indeed stranger than fiction. Okay? And the fact remains, folks, that there's a strong correlation between the advancements of North Korean missile technology in the last few years. You can count on one hand. Okay? We all know that there's a lot of deep state intel, CIA type fingerprints all over North Korea from its very onset. Okay, we all know that the Cold War was a contrived act on a grand stage. That there was a lot of shenanigans that were going on, a lot of deception, a lot of creating of boogeymen, and North Korea happens to be a boogeyman that was created, and now, in the last several years, their missile technology has really increased. The question becomes how? How do they make this leap? Well, it turns out, if you do some digging, a lot of the missile technology componentry that was sold to them to advance their program was given to them by various shell companies that were CIA front operations. Okay? Why? Because it enriches the deep state. War is something that's profitable to these demons that are in office. Okay, war is something that is profitable to them. So the other thing is this. Okay, where the hell did they get this enriched uranium from? Where are they getting the uranium from? And again, there's fingerprints on the so-called Uranium One deal. There is a possibility that there's a lot of evidence coming out, leaking out a little bit here and there, And it's a very strong possibility that North Korea got some of that uranium that was done during the Obama administration that Hillary Clinton signed off on, the Uranium One deal. Now, the rocket technology is one of the things that really surprised everyone throughout the world. How much better their rocket technology has gotten. And the truth is starting to come out, and there is some rumors being circulated and percolated throughout various circles, that it was indeed Elon Musk, the snake oil salesman from South Africa, Elon Musk of Tesla fame and SpaceX being the organization that helped provide and or advance and share some of the componentry to really move North Korean missile technology to the next level. Now, again, these are not confirmed, but these are some of the things that are out there, some of the information that's out there. And if you put it all together, it kind of starts making sense. There's a very, very strong possibility that this could very well be true. Then you have QAnon, who said, why the heck was Eric Schmidt of Google, why was he in North Korea, with pictures of him in North Korea in front of computers? We all know about the rumors of North Korea having, CIA deep state operatives setting up servers for not only Eric Schmidt and various other politicians that are part of the deep state, but also for Hillary Clinton. Okay, so we know these things. These things are coming out. These things are starting to break or percolate onto the surface. Okay. Now, while he said he agrees with the aggressive statements President Trump has fired at North Korea, former Secretary of State Henry, the New World Order. Henry, I hope you drop dead. You never see your stupid New World Order. Henry Kissinger warned Congress last week against potential military intervention near Russian and Chinese borders without the world's support. Now, here's the funny thing, guys. The reason why I laid out all this CIA stuff, connections with North Korea and North Korean missile technology, there are rumors being percolated also that a lot of the componentry that is sold to North Korea for these missiles have backdoors on them. Meaning if North Korea launched a missile, it could theoretically be steered by the CIA. So in other words, the CIA becomes a rogue, or not the entire CIA, maybe a dark faction, a deep state faction of the CIA, becomes a rogue entity that has nuclear capability. And that's a scary thought. Now, the question is posed, could that be the reason why that Trump wants to neutralize North Korea as quickly and as effectively as possible? Could that be the reason why? Could it also be the reason why that, and as I said, years ago, I actually wrote an article stating that there is a desire within the halls of power in China as well as in Russia to have Kim Jong-un removed. And I wrote that, I think, in 2014. So, so this is very, very interesting to say the least. And, it's quite remarkable nonetheless. Anyway, he says that we will hit that fork in the road, and the temptation to deal with it in a preemptive act is strong. And the argument is rational, but I've seen no public statement by any leading official. Henry Kissinger would love to have some sort of a nuclear conflagration. He would love to have some sort of a tripwire that would cause a major global conflict, and this way the deep state could try to get back in. But unfortunately for Henry Kissinger, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Anyway, Siege, moving on to the next one. Here comes the government cryptos, brother. We've been talking about it. We've been warning about it, and it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, they had the whole meeting there in Davos where you had a lot of the quote unquote international experts that came onto the scene to talk about the cryptos, and the underlying tone there, V, is that we understand how disruptive that the cryptos, that blockchain is going to be on the control mechanisms that they've had in place for so darn long. And they are scared. They are afraid of cryptos and the transparency that it brings. So absolutely. So they're going to try to bring on their own digital cryptos. They're going to, again, try to slam cryptos as it's, they're going to, remember the Silk Road and the illicit trade that was on on there, and we're thinking it's funding these terrorist activities. It's an old message, and it's going to continue echoing this year, V.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Governments around the world have signaled their ongoing or imminent intent to legislate and regulate cryptos. Listen to the program yesterday that Frank and Mr. X did. Go ahead and listen to that, and you find out how laughable that is. Go back and listen to that Roger Ver interview that I did. Go back and listen to that, and you find out how laughable it is, but that's not going to stop them from trying. And it seems that the largest banking and financial firms are waiting for more clarity before they forge ahead with their plans to enter the market. Countries like Russia are forging ahead with the creation of their own government-issued cryptocurrency, which they can fully control. Others, like Venezuela, have been forced to do so to battle out control inflation that has crippled its economy. Opposed to a decentralized and anonymous system, the creation of a cryptocurrency that governments can control is their only option to wrestle back some semblance of control that has been handed over to the everyday man using cryptocurrencies. God forbid. We can't let the everyday man have control of his own destiny, CJ. God forbid. Only us bureaucrats. We know what's good for the people.
We need the banksters. We need the government to help dictate our lives. I mean, shoot, how would we operate without government, V?
Absolutely, man. I don't know how we get up every morning without the government. The government, who can? The government can. The government can. Who brings the sun out? The government does. Who makes the spring flowers bloom? The government does. The government does. The government does. Who gives me food stamps? The government does. I got my welfare check. The government does. Free health care for everyone. The government does. The government does. That's the utopic world that these idiots are living in. It's just nonsense. It's complete nonsense. And anyway, moving forward, buddy, we got a great intel dump yesterday from Zach, a caller into the show of InfoWars. What is that all about, brother?
Yeah, tons of information, and I want to be real careful not to take his words out of context, which, sometimes when you're summarizing V, it's so easy to do. Now, to bring a little bit of validity around what he states, Zach has been on before with InfoWars and specifically talked about things that have happened in the past that have came true, and again, numerous examples. Well, he had him on yesterday, V, and what he had to say was very eye-opening, and this is in regards to the missile attack that almost happened there in Hawaii, and he shared some great intel about what is happening. So I want to play that soundbite for our listeners if I can. So I'm going to play that right now. Okay.
Okay.
Excellent.
Before that happens. And that there's really no way that could even go on. Obviously, someone fell on their sword and got reassigned. What's the intel you've got, Zach?
Yeah, when that was coming out, it was kind of confusing for people. It's sort of, bizarre, the sort of explanations that you hear and things like this. It's just not a reality that there could just be operator error. It was not operator error. That was a neutralized real-world situation and a desperation operation to trigger Trump into an attack on North Korea, via Pearl Harbor or any of these other Gulf of Tonkin sort of incidences. There's nothing new in our unfortunately in our deep state country's history. So it's very dangerous, and it's kind of obviously classified what really went on. But all you need to do is look at the reaction of the actual White House. Trump made it very clear in the State of the Union that we are not going to televise, and we're not going to put out what our tactics are and what our plans are against enemy combatants and terrorists and threats around the world. So, they could go along. This was just operator error. This was a deep state desperation operation to trigger war and to distract from everything that's unfolding now. Unfortunately, we of course, were days ahead of them, even weeks ahead of them. This wasn't something new. We heard all the chatter. We heard everything, and it was actually neutralized. There was an actual threat. If you look at the time span between the alert going out and it actually the next alert coming in to say, hey, sorry, just a mistake, no big deal. This is probably, 20 to 30 minutes longer than what it would actually take for the missile to actually come here if there was a missile.
Sure, of course. Well, I've traveled to Kauai, to that main defensive missile base there, further, most westerly part of the United States. And North Korea has been firing missiles from your information, was it North Korea? Did somebody else fire a missile to try to confuse things, to trick Trump into giving the order to preemptively attack North Korea? Then they'd say, sir, that never really happened, and then remove him, because I saw them beta test and sell that idea.
Yeah, this was the official information, and it'll come out. But this was supposedly shot underwater. This was from a submarine. This was a real threat. Are
you saying it was okay? So it was a Polaris style missile. Yes,
and it was credible, but it was neutralized. So individuals in the systems did sort of freak out, and there was some operator error at a certain level, but not to the capacity that nothing happened. There was a credible threat in underwater that was going to breach and obviously hit the islands there. That was neutralized almost immediately after it took off.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop it there, V, because he goes on to state a lot of important things, and I hope our audience realize the war that is truly going on behind the scenes right now. And we pointed out Kissinger wanting to go on, they're wanting to advance this cause, but more importantly, they wanted to create a false flag style event to prevent this memo from happening, to provide a distraction. Now, what Zach goes on to state is that nothing has happened by coincidence. The Kennedy coming out and giving the post State of the Union address, that was a kind of a message to Trump to say, hey, here's a Kennedy. You need to remember exactly what happened to the Kennedys, and obviously this guy is falling in line. Specifically, the train accident was an attempted derailment of Congress members. That accident that occurred. So there is a war going on behind the deep state, and then more importantly, what Zach goes on to state is that he's familiar with the group, with the Q group. He is not in that group. However, he goes on to state that just be prepared that if this memo drops, and we're seeing right now this this war that's happening with DC, with the FBI, with the administration, that in the event this memo drops, we need to be on the highest state of alert, because I think that they're trying to thwart any type of attempts that, if this memo comes out, any type of a potential event that could coming up, and especially with the Super Bowl right around the corner, V.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that Zach mentioned the Polaris missile, that is a sub-launched nuclear intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM. We do know that the deep staters do possess a submarine or so, a submarine or two, some of them which are outfitted with Polaris missiles. We do know there's some backdoors possibly with them. Who knows? But there is, in fact, a war. There is a shadow government that is right now trying to fight back, and I believe that. I mean, this is what QAnon has said also about the whole Hawaii thing, that, false flags will be coming. Look, the deep state has tried to do something like this before. This is K-129 all over again, guys. This is K-129 all over again, where a deep state operative stole a Russian sub, took the Russian sub over near it was a Gulf submarine near the Hawaiian Islands, and tried to do the same thing by hitting Hawaii, and then blaming it on the Chinese so that the U.S. will go to war with China. And it was luckily, by an act of God, that sub was neutralized on its own. It just had some sort of malfunction and it imploded underwater. And that's when when Howard Hughes was tasked to build the Glomar submariner, the Glomar Explorer. Okay, that is the biggest salvage ship. It was at that time the most expensive project ever to go ahead and retrieve that sub and photograph it. That was that whole entire thing. I think W and I spoke about it like years ago on the radio. And then that was the event. Then when Nixon found out, he went over to China, and that was one of the key pieces of things or news that helped open up China to trade with the West. So this was a huge thing. So the deep state has done this before. This is within their playbook. And folks, that's what I'm trying to tell you, is that there is nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new. These, everything that these guys have done, today they've done before. It's part of their playbook. Their fingerprints are all over it. Now, CJ, let me ask you this, man. What is this whole Joe Kennedy response that he was chosen as a hidden message to Trump? What's that all about?
Yeah, so, everyone's aware that, this Joe Kennedy kind of came out of nowhere, and, someone's saying, well, he's the new figure. He's going to be the new leader of the Democratic Party, which we know is not true, right? I mean, this guy is so far left. But they specifically, as a counter after the State of the Union address, they wanted Kennedy to come up and deliver this speech as a message to Trump, as a slight hint that, hey, listen, here's a Kennedy, Mr. Trump, and you need to specifically exactly remember what happened to JFK when he tried crossing the deep state, when he tried exposing the criminality of some of these institutions that have gone on too long. So there was a hidden message. There was a hidden message with getting him up, prompting him up, out of nowhere to deliver the counter to the State of the Union address. V.
Unbelievable. It's pretty funny to say that this guy was up there like he was frothing at the mouth, literally frothing at the mouth. He looked like he was a participant of the Tide Pod Challenge.
He looked extremely nervous.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He should be nervous because his side is losing. They're losing bigly. And talk about the next thing, man. The train accident that occurred was no accident. We all knew that when that happened, when Bix mentioned it to us when we were on the air. Right. We knew that was no accident whatsoever. And I was shocked when Bix said, "Hey, you know what? There's a train accident." I was like, "What? With Congress?" I was freaking out. I couldn't believe it. Now we're getting a little bit more intel out of that siege. What's that all about, man?
Yeah. So apparently, there's, and Zach validated a little bit this yesterday on InfoWars, specifically talking about why they were specifically heading to this bunker that's located at this resort where the members of Congress traveled to. So I just pulled up the W sent us this. So thank you, W, for doing that. But this just specifically lists out why this bunker was built as a continuity of government in the event some type of massive thing would happen. And that's exactly what potentially could occur. Think of when this memo drops, it's pretty much going to undermine the DOJ, undermine the FBI, expose the level, and it's not going to be redacted. There's going to be significant names that are going to be listed in there and what they're going to attempt to do. So specifically, the members of Congress and the president, the vice president, were heading to the Greenbriers bunker. And this article kind of lists the history of it, why it's there and why specifically that Congress, the Republican Party, were heading there as a safety precaution, prior to this memo dropping. V.
Unbelievable. Unreal. Yeah, this is that's proof positive. I mean, why the hell go to a facility where there's a bunker? Unreal. Trump's schedule potentially changed for today.
Yeah, just real quick, I there was a public schedule, and he usually posts this all the time, as far as what his daily activities are, his meetings, his briefings. And for some reason, the whitehouse.gov is like shifted, and I don't know whether it was like a month ago that they don't have the details that are listed. There's another site that does, but when you go to whitehouse.gov and you take a look at his schedule of events, it only lists like one or two things for today. So it kind of leads me to believe that there's still maybe some preparation. They're still trying to figure out if this memo is released, what would be the contingency plans? What would they need to do to shore up, if there was an event, a crisis that did happen? And let's face it, once this memo drops, it's going to, it already is, right? You basically right now, have the FBI at war right now with the administration. You have all these, intelligence people coming out saying, oh, this is going to be so disruptive, and it's not. It's just going to expose the criminality that's been happening at the FBI, at the DOJ for years on end. So sure. It's going to be very interesting these next few days. Maybe they're taking precautionary measures with the Super Bowl coming up. Who knows what the reason is right now, why the memo hasn't been released, but I'm sure that it's for good reasons. I'm sure that they have to have some safeguards in place. They need to know specifically where some individuals are as this memo gets released.
Yeah. Unreal. And that brings us to the end of the show, man. Anything else you want to cover?
No, that's it. Just, again, we will be monitoring the news cycle today. Yes, in the event that memo is dropped. Stay tuned. We will definitely keep everyone posted and up to date.
Absolutely. And with that being said, Siege, we're over and out. Take it away, my friend.